My body cells obey my will. They dance with divine vitality. I am well. I am strong. I'm a flowing river of boundless power and energy. Flus and colds can happen any time of the year. Anytime we have congestion, we can break that up. This is a simple remedy. I wouldn't call it a cure. Only the Almighty cures. Doctors like to think they have a cure. I always get a cure for cancer. No one can cure anything. All you can do is stimulate the body to cure itself. Once you start recognizing that and taking that back, that power, which you've given away to doctors, we get programmed, ask your doctor for help. It's not his body, and he might be able to give you some pointers, but he cannot cure you. If he could bring corpses back to life. Let's see him do that. When doctors can do that, then they can claim they can cure. Until then, all they can do is stimulate your body to do what it knows how to do better than anyone else. That'll probably get me into trouble. So, for flus and colds, this is a remedy comes from the book of Art, the Art and Science of Rajayoga book, which is around here somewhere. Anyway, it's a quart of water, a half cup of milk, and I tend to like Gary's milk. Gary's a nice local dairy. He observes nice organic practices, but he doesn't go through the process of being labeled organic, so we just have to trust him. What a concept, trusting people. Know your person who's making your food might be one of the best things you can do for yourself. Will he betray that trust? He might. Sooner or later, it seems that's one thing that life always seems to do is disappoint us. But rolling on from that, it's not homogenized, it has a lot of cream in it, and it tastes wonderful, and it seems to have more potency in it than other milk. So we have a quart of water, half cup of milk. This is the king-size jar of honey, and so I go through a lot of it every 4 or 5 months. A gallon of it is a prudent way to buy it, and also it's less expensive. Honey, and that's going to go into our quart of water and half cup of milk. And we're going to bring this up to a boil for a minute or two. And honey, typically you don't want to boil. This is one of the few recipes that we're looking to have it break up and combine with the ginger to do something a bit unique. There are lots of natural occurring compounds that we want to keep intact in honey for the most part. Okay. And of course, if I wasn't on camera, I would be tempted to lick that honey off this container. I'll save that so when you're not watching me. So, we also need a teaspoon of ginger, and that's our recipe for this remedy. And we want a whole teaspoon. As long as you're roughly in the ballpark, these proportions aren't super critical, but at the same time we don't want to reduce them very much. People always want to say, well, I'm not doing sugar, so I take out the honey. Honey has a property of self-control. It's also balancing. The way this particular approach to curing works is we're trying to balance all the tastes. So spicy, salty, sweet, oh, there's the one I missed, sweet, astringent, bitter, and sour. We're not quite getting a sour taste in this particular one. Probably not needed. When you're under the condition of having a flu or a cold, your system already has a lot of sourness to it. Adding more sourness may not help. And this concept of centeredness, being healed, is something that doesn't really, we don't think of that in terms, in our Western world, we think of healing, you have to get rid of something, you have to kill the germs. One of the things that's known about viruses is that they don't do well. In fact, they totally either go dormant or die in an alkaline environment. And this was actually used as the basis of a sci-fi show, back in the last century, I think it was called the Andromeda strain, but that's actually a fact. And a person was given the Nobel Peace Prize for it in 1934, a doctor, for discovering that. So if once we can create a sense of centeredness or a sense of a more alkaline environment, viruses will go dormant. Bacteria will die. Pretty much the causative agents for all illnesses are viruses and bacteria. Once the environment will not support them, you're no longer sick. You may have some toxins to get rid of them, because once all those guys die off, the body has to get rid of those. But it can be very, very rapid. It can knock out, drinking a pint of this, we have a quart and a little bit over a quart of liquid. You drink a pint of this the first day, pint of the next, at pinky temperature, warm, lukewarm. Once it's been heated, it's pretty sterile. We're just watching that come up to a boil. That will take a few minutes. Once you've got that going, once you have that all going, you can do well in just a few moments. Does this work every time? Usually. I have had many people use this remedy and had it work. I've had people substitute coconut milk. Doesn't work quite as well. If you're lactose intolerant, the coconut milk will be okay, the almond milk will be okay, but it doesn't have the same heavy fat. And that heavy fat, when it's moderated with the ginger and the honey, is part of what heals us. Being the lactose-free milk is worth trying. The quantity of milk is a half cup in a quart of water. It's also been boiled. It's also has the ginger in it. You may not be allergic at all. Since you're already sick, it's not maybe the time you want to take a chance of boiling. Just have a few minutes of that. Then we let it cool down to pinky warm, which we can do by pouring back and forth. And turn the heat down a little bit now that it's starting to get very rambunctious and it's boiling. Obviously, if you're in an area where there's a drought, running the water is not going to make you any friends. And it's getting cooler, but we still have a ways to go before this is going to be drinkable. So, kapha is a mixture of the solid and liquid elements. Pitta is a mixture of the liquid and fire element. And then vata is a mixture of the air and an expansive quality, which we call ether. And it's kind of a little hard to understand what that would all be about if you have some element that we don't quite touch, but yet we feel it expand around our throat. Does that come all the way up into these other centers that we are for thinking and such? Possibly. This mixture of them, of the first three, the kapha tends to need a little bit more, since it's solid and liquid, it tends to need a little bit of heat energy to make it more mobile. Pitta tends to need a little more solid to dampen it down, but a little bit of the air element to keep it to fluid. Vata needs a little bit of the heat energy to keep it comfortable, and the vata quality to keep it in check. By having milk, ginger, and honey all in there together, those components, the sweet tends to calm down the fire, the fat from the milk tends to calm down the fire and tends to comfort the air quality, and then the heat from the ginger tends to increase the mobility of the kapha element. When we get into those all three in alignment in our center, we have this unusual quality where when a person is centered, they're generally happy. They tend to be uplifted a little bit, and that's a big key, finding a way to uplift you. And ginger actually has an uplifting quality just from the heat, tends to bring you up. So while just drinking something, can that make you better? It seems to. I'm Omkar from Omkar Structural Body Works. Pain-free strength and flexibility is your birthright. Claim it.